now.
Hello and welcome to Dropkicks and Bodyslams. I am joined by my two co-hosts today, Dean, and the one, the only, the legend, the knife wonder of the world, Gully!
Welcome, folks. Welcome, folks.
So, it's SummerSlam weekend. We've already had NXT TakeOver. Not going to say anything because we don't want to ruin it, but we're here to give our opinions on the matches because obviously everyone makes their own, so why can't we make ours? So, shall we do it like do the championships last?
Yes, to that last.
So, we'll start with Sonya versus Mandy. No disqualification and the loser leaves WWE. So, what do we think, boys?
I think it's a good spotlight for them both. Mandy, she don't do as much, but her and Otis, that whole storyline is popping. I mean, people like it. People like looking at it. But Sonya's been more or less the aggressor and in the background for a while now. So I think this is a good coming out party, no pun intended, to Miss Sonya. And I think that if anybody in this match should get the rub, I'm gonna have to go with Sonya.
You know what? I don't even need to say anything because you just made my point for me. Although I will add one thing: since they broke up, she has been absolutely brilliant. Her look is absolutely fantastic as hell. Her promos are getting even better. So, if you were going to ask me to choose one person to come out of this looking really good, I would say Sonya. So, what do you think, Mikey?
I think because Mandy's gotten such focus that Sonya will need this. I kind of wish they would keep escalating the consequences here. Like, if they took away the hair first.
Yeah.
And then they just kept going from there, like more brutal matches, like how Rollins is taking people's eyes. If they were doing something like along the lines, where it's like next they're trying to like take your look away, like she's literally trying to like disfigure her, and then we get down to like the whole loser leaves match. I feel like this could have been like a real story of like full on consequences leading up to like the ultimate thing you could take away from someone.
Yeah.
But I think Mandy will be fine if she takes the L here. But I feel like we could have gotten just a little bit more before we hit this point, but they both been booked pretty solid lately.
Yeah. But the thing is, we don't want an Undertaker and Randy Orton feud that goes on for like 7 months.
No, I feel like they could settle this in like 3 pay-per-views. Like if they get the booking perfect, this could have been like a 3 chapters thing and done type thing.
Yeah, so it could have been her match first, then it would have been something else, and then obviously loser leaves. But the thing is, I don't know if you two agree with me on this, but SmackDown's women's division is a bit bare because who is there? There's Bayley. I don't even know where Sasha is anymore, to be honest.
She's technically Raw, she got the Raw title, but since they both have the belts, the tag belts, they can go anywhere they want. So I don't know where she's landed as far as her roster spot. Last I knew, she was a Raw superstar.
Yeah, I thought that. So there's them two. There's Lacey Evans, Naomi. Who else is there?
I think
Are we talking SmackDown?
Yeah, there's not that many, is there?
Shayna's SmackDown. No, she's.
I thought she was Raw.
She's Raw. She's Raw. She's Raw. Never mind. SmackDown wise.
There's Alexa and Nikki, but Alexa is obviously in the middle of Bray and Braun, obviously, so she can't really be involved in anything. And
I think they got Naomi.
I don't even know what's going on with Nikki Cross, to be honest.
She's SmackDown for sure.
So you don't really have that many. So I don't think the loser will leave simply because it'll do them both more harm than good. I mean, it's kind of like one of those old feuds where it kept on going, and no matter what, it was kind of like Brett versus Owen. They always kept getting in each other's way until they actually literally sorted it out. So I don't think personally either of them will leave, no matter who wins. I personally think I would love Sonya to win, but I have a really bad feeling that Mandy will win.
Well, since Mandy's been getting the most of the abuse throughout this whole feud, you would think, you know how WWE logic works, that Mandy would probably get the rub at
Yeah.
when it's all said and done. But I don't think it would be a good look for this one.
Well, this is what we think, but what will happen in however many hours it is a different story. So we've got that. What do we think about Apollo Crews versus MVP for the US title?
I think Apollo needs the win.
I agree.
I think
all this is really going to be, I think at the end of it all, the Hurt business is going to grow. Apollo's going to join. I know that Ricochet's probably going to join, and Cedric Alexander is probably going to join. They're all going to be a super group, Hurt business. I'm calling it Gully right here, right now.
To be fair, this is the man who said when Undertaker lost his WrestleMania streak, and everyone, including myself, said we wouldn't watch it again. We did. So
we did.
I did. But then again, it's Undertaker. You cannot watch it because he's still in it. So this is actually going quite quicker than I thought it was going to be. What about the World Tag Team Championship match between the Street Profits and Andrade and Angel Garza?
I think it's a good direction versus, you know, what the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits were doing with the whole competition stuff.
Please don't get me started.
It was dreadful.
Please don't get me started on that. It was
the focus should always be wrestling.
It was even worse than bloody SmackDown karaoke.
Oh, let's not talk about. Oh my goodness.
I know exactly.
Oh.
I think after all the I'll say the debacling that Street Profits have had, I think Andrade and Angel Garza should have the belts, just because. I mean, Raw Tag Team titles go around more than SmackDowns do, so you can't really have a case of like SmackDown has a champion or used to have a champion like every year. So I think for the sake of randoming the titles up, I think Andrade and Angel Garza will be. Just don't forget Selena Vega's involved as well, as is Bianca Belair.
Now, did you both know that the Street Profits reign is either over now or just at the New Day's reign last for the Raw SmackDown Championship? You guys, were you aware of that?
No, I didn't.
No,
I'm not surprised.
It don't feel like it at all. Like, I don't feel like they've had the belts that long because they don't get any focus or any type of attention besides this little vignettes about competitions and stuff. Nothing to do with tag team wrestling.
I'm kind of surprised they didn't just move Miz and Morrison up to like get those Raw tag titles, since those two like on any stage are like entertaining. So I figured they would have got the focus like completely back on the tag titles with their antics.
Well, clearly Miz is involved with these invaders. So
yeah, I heard that rumor. I heard that.
Because right now you want your top teams to have the belts, especially now with the amount of people they're missing off their roster.
Yeah, Miz and Morrison, I think since they've reunited, they've rejuvenated that thing that they had. The annoying, in your face, but they're also good at what they do. So I agree. I second that.
I still can't believe John Morrison's pushing 40 and he still has a body like he did when he was 20.
It's ridiculous.
Parkour, man.
He was probably fitter at 20 than I am now. Right, so we sort of know where we're going with the War Tag Team titles. Now, this one has caused a bit of debate amongst us because we had a conversation earlier about this. Seth Rollins versus Dominic Mysterio in a street fight. I think Dominic has been pushed way too soon. I think what he should do is they should have Seth win, kill his momentum, and let him build himself up. It's kind of like how I do E-Fed him, because I prefer to work my way up from the bottom, work my way up, and then it gives my character time to grow. Not literally thrown in at the deep end with probably one of the biggest stars of the WWE, who will literally crush him in a second.
See, my thing about this is Seth Rollins doesn't necessarily need the rub. Dominic does if he's going to establish something. I think they're trying to build him, entirely too fast, mind you. But I think they're heading in a certain direction with Dominic. I think what they're trying to do, because Ray wants to retire.
Yeah.
I think they're trying to build it towards Dominic's going to retire his dad. But to do that, he has to have at least some type of credibility under his belt. So, and Seth doesn't need this at all. Like,
he doesn't.
One.
I mean, he's where he is because of everything he's done. But at the same time, I mean, I don't know. You probably feel the same as me, but it's kind of like in the olden days, you'd have a world title shot after your first year. I mean, there's been some people like, didn't Brock Lesnar have like a world title shot 2 months after he debuted?
Maybe not 2 months, but it's very close.
Yeah, but this is kind of how I feel, because I think it's kind of like that. I think Dominic's been pushed way too soon, because basically what we have on our hands is another John Cena, which is how it's going, because he's been shoved down the throats way too much. So I think he should. This is me personally. I think he should take the loss, build his way up, so everyone starts to like him for who he is, not because he's Rey Mysterio's son. That's my honest opinion.
I can agree to that wholeheartedly.
I don't think he's going to beat Rollins. Rollins has pretty much eclipsed him, like, in any time he's on the microphone. And it seems like Dominic hasn't really figured out his character yet. Remember that one interview when he's just like, Rollins will see how crazy I really am? It kind of just seemed like he was just doing like a casual conversation. Like, this guy disfigured your dad. Like, you think you'd barely be able to like hold it together anger wise, like even like snatching the microphone or like getting up into the camera. Because like the kendo sticks made up for it a bit, but like I don't feel like Dominic's seriously like angry. Like if it was my dad, like they'd need like dudes holding me back. Like I'd be losing my cool every time I saw Rollins.
But yeah, that's not how that's exactly the point I'm getting. Well, that's the point I'd also like to address. He's not doing it the way that a normal person would. I mean, the minute was it Montez who got food poisoned by Selena? The minute that happened, Bianca Belair went straight for her. That's how it should have been portrayed as.
Like, remember with Surge and Impact, when the whole thing about AJ came out and he instantly just like smashed AJ in the face?
Yeah.
Like every time he sees Rollins, like there should be like an official like standing between them, like trying to like chill him out or something. Because like I wouldn't just hold it together. Like if I could get Rollins now, I'd be going after him now. Like once the kendo stick kind of came into play, we started to get that. But like leading up to it, like he was way too calm. It wasn't even like this like calculated calm, like lure Rollins into a false sense of security. This just seemed like a guy, you know, like when you get into it in the schoolyard and there's that one guy, like when he takes that first ever hit, it's like, what the hell was that? Heck was that type thing? That's how Dominic feels to me. Like he's never been in like a schoolyard scrap before.
Yeah, and it comes down to believability, and like, you know, we in EFED we promo all the time. We write it, we record it, sometimes we video it. You know how to deliver, you know how to speak, you know how to look into a camera. Dominic seems timid. Yeah, this is all new to him. It's all flashy lights. He grew up around it. I figured he at least had a little bit more tact on that camera. But you know, let's look at his dad. Ray, mic skills really aren't the best either. So I think in time he could learn, but right now, like you said, it's way too soon.
Also, I can make him a Paul Heyman guy.
Also, remember when Lesnar took him apart, like Dominic Ray and all that? Like, why didn't Dominic come back sooner? Like, why didn't he come back sooner, like, swinging? Like, Brock basically took apart his whole family, and that wasn't a problem. But then when Rollins does something, all of a sudden, this is a big issue. Like, Dominic would have got splat by Lesnar, but at least, like, you think he would have shown up and just, like, taking, like, another beating, but he would have at least tried taking Brock down or, like, swung at Heyman or something. So it's odd that now this is an issue.
Yeah, I think sometimes it can be portrayed as somebody's beaten down so badly that they just don't want to go there again. Maybe.
Like if it was me, like, yeah, I know I'm going to take the licking, but like I'm not going to just like lay down after. Like I know Brock's like dangerous, and there's no way he would have beaten Brock. But like Zach Gowen even like was going head to head with Brock. Like it's pretty bad when a 19-year-old has more courage than like Dominic, and like Dominic's like how much bigger than Zach Gowen?
A lot.
So that's kind of like what bothers me, because like I feel like that kind of hurt him going into this, because it's just like he didn't swing back at Brock. Like how is he going to beat Rollins type thing?
So we're a bit unsure about this, aren't we? We think Seth should win, but at the same time we think Dominic should win because we've got to build him up. But I still maintain he should take the loss and build himself from the ground up. That's what I personally think. If you did it, I'll tell you what, I'll offer another way of doing it. If you made him lose here, but didn't bury him altogether, would that be a better analogy?
I think that'd be better for him longevity-wise, yes. Like, if he does take the L, just make it seem like he put up a valiant effort, like he has a future. It's like, okay, this kid didn't win here tonight, but boy, his performance says volumes about him, that type of deal.
You'd have to Jeff Hardy him. Remember when Jeff fought Taker, and then he got on the microphone and he's like, I'm not broke yet, and like you kind of would have to do that with Dominic. Like Dominic would have to like put up a valiant effort. Like I feel like Rollins should mess with him a bit. Like he should Hercule him a bit, like doing like that free shot like this type thing, and kind of like mess with him a bit, and then Dominic gets the heat on him, and like Rollins gets like that shocked reaction, then starts taking him seriously. Like give him that real like underdog vibe to it, and then have him like forcing himself trying to get up when the match is over, and like telling Rollins like, I'm not done, and then just build that underdog aspect. Send him to NXT for a bit and have him like working his way back, trying to get his hands on Rollins.
A good example of the first match, shocker performance thing is if you watch TakeOver and you watch the Pat McAfee Adam Cole match. That's a good example. I won't spoil it for nobody who hasn't seen it yet, but watch that match. That's a very good example of what I'm talking about.
Right, so with that said, we have the first of two women's matches for the titles. And we'll start with the SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley versus Asuka. So here's what I think. Asuka should win because Bayley's been champ far too long. Way too long.
And how she's being booked, you can tell that she's about to lose just from who. I really think if she does not lose to Asuka on this one, she's going to lose to Sasha further on. That the dissension, the crack in their tag team armor is showing thoroughly. Especially like if you look on SmackDown and Sasha's reaction to when Bayley lost to Asuka, that's a telltale sign that this is long-term story building going on.
Yeah, they've been building that for months. But the only problem is it's no closer to being to actually happening.
Personally, I think Bayley should go over in this one, because if Asuka beats Sasha, and the way Sasha has been booked over the years when it comes to losing the belt, and she goes for Bayley's belt, like that crack finally breaks, and they're at each other's throats, and she's trying to end Bayley's reign, like I feel like that would work a lot better story-wise than if Sasha goes over when Bayley's like hitting milestones of her reign.
I'll tell you what we can do, chap. Since we're talking Sasha as well, we can just sort of like put two questions into one, so we can do it that way. So I personally think Bayley should lose, but Sasha should win, simply because how many reigns has Sasha had? She's not had that many, and every reign she's had less than either a day or a week. Well, what Sasha needs, is proper longevity. That's the one thing she's not had, but Bayley has had. So I think Bayley should lose because nobody wants to keep watching a pay-per-view where they instantly go, "Oh God, Bayley's champ. She's gonna win. There's no point watching it." A bit of unintentional booking wouldn't go amiss, in my view. But I do get your point, Mikey, about if it should be about how Bayley should should retain and Sasha should lose. Then that makes Sasha go after Bayley. But I mean, it might just be me talking, but I just prefer how a title reign shouldn't be any more than say 6 months to a year, and Bayley's has been way too long, way too long.
But look at the reaction. The reaction to how you know when you talk about Bayley's reign, she's doing her job. She's hated, like she's annoying. I think for her to lose that, it needs to be at a bigger stage. I mean, SummerSlam is a big stage, mind you, but I think we should get the best payoff for it too. And I think it should be Sasha and Bayley, say at a Mania, and have that from there, have killed from there.
But the only problem is you're asking for September, October, November, December, January, February, March, about 7 or 8 months. That's the one big problem.
I think in between there, maybe not this event, but maybe somewhere in between there, you'll have Bayley lose it to somebody, maybe somebody interchangeable. Maybe somebody was like, okay, they're hot for this month. Let's put it on her. Have Bayley get it back towards WrestleMania season and have that blow-off match.
Series. That's the other big event that comes up.
That could be. Well, then again, you're going to have there you go, because then you're going to have Raw versus SmackDown. You got to have Bayley versus Sasha in that match. And maybe you'll have the champion.
Sorry, mate. I'm going to say you're having the draft as well, aren't we? Which I think is next month. For it's in the next 2 months, but nobody seems to know when the date is exactly.
Right.
So there's also that as well. So I'll give it my view. So we basically agreed we're sort of undecided. So we're basically there's no majority vote, but we basically have different views on who should win and who should lose.
Right.
Is one way to look at it.
I think if Sasha were to dethrone her, like that should be when Sasha gets like that long reign. Like she took out her own best friend for her own needs to become champion. Like what else would Sasha Banks do to remain champion? And that because she's good, like she's great in the ring. And I feel like a story like this to winning the belt would cement like when she's going for that longer reign, taking out like some of the top stars, like shattering friendships. Like I could see her next, like shattering like Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss friendship completely, like taking each one of them out, and then continuing on fighting Asuka again, and then going to NXT, like just showboating that belt and having like amazing clashes.
Right. Now, also something to look at. To look at also from SmackDown is that Bayley lost to Naomi, so, and she pinned the champion. So I think if somehow Bayley makes it past in SummerSlam, there's going to be Naomi versus Bayley.
Didn't Naomi beat Sasha as well? So
either way, I think she's gonna get herself. She's pushing herself to the point where, or they're pushing her to the point where she's gonna get entangled in this storyline somehow.
Yeah, but it's not just that, because after the fiasco that was SmackDown Karaoke, everyone said that Naomi deserved better. So technically, giving her a title shot might be a way of sort of making things a little bit better. I mean, Mickie James got absolutely hammered this Monday just gone. I have actually met her. She is one of the nicest women you'll ever see in your life, and it absolutely broke my heart that she came back the way she did, how they treated her. It broke my heart severely. So that only leaves the two big titles for the men now. So first of all, we'll start with the Wyatt family squabbling between Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt or the Fiend, whoever we get. Who knows what we're going to get this time. I will go last because I think I've gone first every time, so I'll let one of you two go first.
You want it first? Or you want me to take it?
I'll let you go first.
All right. Well, in my humble opinion, the Fiend does not need that belt whatsoever. His character does not fit well with being a champion. He doesn't need it. He's too versed in chaos. Braun needs that belt more than the Fiend for solidification, because you know how Braun's runs go. He's a big bad monster mowing through everybody. Then he takes that loss. He's a chump. So I feel like maybe so, like, maybe not have the Fiend lose so convincingly, but with Alexa being that third factor now, either have Braun cut those ties and be worse than the Fiend, have that double turn, or have a blow off and just continue that feud for another event. I mean, that's either way. That's how it's gonna go.
I do have thoughts, but I want to get Fraser's thoughts before I start.
I think Drew McIntyre should go over. He's been a great champion, and has that believable ability when it comes to the power. And on the microphone, like, he's serious when he'll mess you up. And I think him dethroning Randy Orton would only prove that even more. And I think Bray Wyatt should go over. He's been entertaining. His segments have been great. Like, I would rather watch people trying to dethrone a monster with like the manipulation he's been doing and like that whole darkness creeping, like what he did to John Cena. I would like to see more of those horror vibe types, because it would bring something completely different to the table, because we've seen it over and over again with big guy laughing, smashing stuff. But Bray, it's like he wants to make you like literally give up and entirely when you enter that match with no hope.
Right, so here's my take on Orton v McIntyre. We know McIntyre's been champion since April at WrestleMania. We know he won Lesnar. We know that. We all both know that. We all know that. Now, the rumor I heard is that they wanted a safe bet to put the belt on Orton because they didn't know how McIntyre would perform in front of a live audience. Now, the problem is we now have a live audience. So it makes sense to keep the belt on McIntyre for a number of reasons. One is to because I actually think, because Orton's won enough titles, he doesn't need any more. We all know he's a badass. We know he works his ass off majority of the time, or some of the time, as I've been led to believe by certain YouTubers. I think it would be best if McIntyre kept the belt, because how are you going to see what he's like as a champion in front of a studio audience if A, there's an audience, but B, he has no belt? So surely doing what WWE thinks should be best for business, it obviously isn't if you're going to take the belt off him when there's a live audience there. So that is a bit of a non-brainer for me, because I say McIntyre. As for Strowman and the Fiend, I mean, I sort of want the Fiend to win it, but at the same time, I do want him to win it because of the way he lost it originally, and he shouldn't have. But at the same time, some people would say that Braun got lucky because Roman Reigns pulled out of WrestleMania because of everything that's going on. So I kind of want, Braun's reign to have meaning behind it. I want it to be like, not so long like Bayley long, but I want it to have a bit of credibility to it. So it's like, oh no, you just got the title just because Roman Reigns didn't attend WrestleMania. He needs a good long title run. But I do like the angle of which he's actually changing, because that is literally what the Fiend does. He changes people. We've seen that for the last couple of years. Let's face it. Seth Rollins has faced him. He's now a Monday Night Messiah. Finn Balor has gone a bit heel. But I don't really think it would hurt the Fiend that much if he did lose, because he's made more the way he is.
It's true. That's fact. I want to jump back to the Drew McIntyre Randy Orton match. I didn't touch on that one yet. I'm calling it because I see the writing on the wall. Because all the legends he's been taking out, and all of that's going to come with a receipt. And why not cash in that receipt when he's at his most? He's trying to be world champion again. That's where his focus is. So I think that either one of the guys he's taken out on his way to that point was going to show a face. I'm calling Edge. Edge maybe still recovering, but he can still hit a spear and cost Randy Orton.
He can still make an appearance and distract him, or in fact, he doesn't need to be there. His ring entrance can do it.
Right. I think they're going to pull that card. Drew, I think, in my personal opinion, Drew's been knocking it out the park, with or without fans there.
Yeah.
He's been working. He's been training. He's been promoting his ass off. He's killing it. He's killing it.
But like I said,
I feel like...
Yeah. But that WWE, I think the Universal title match is a bit not as straightforward as well. In fact, it's not as it's literally like an easy decision. Whereas a WWE title isn't, because it's kind of like there's a lot of politics involved. It's like we don't know how he's going to be with the fans, but yeah, if you, like I said, if you take the belt off him while there's fans there, how are you going to know if he's any good or not? I mean, if Orton won, like if it was like a McIntyre Orton 2 and Orton won the belt, so they've had a bit of time to evaluate where McIntyre is with fans, I'd be down with that. I really would.
It's too soon to take the belt off Drew.
I mean, how long's it been? May, June, July. What? I know it's only been 4 months, and some people get. I mean, I think McIntyre's had more reign, more time as a reign in his first title than Sasha has had in all her runs. But True. I think he deserves a little bit of leniency, because with what's gone down and all that, I think he should have a bit of like a 5 or 6 month reign, if you like. Because that's what the definition of having the WWE title has been for the last couple of years. AJ Styles had a near enough year-long reign. So did Daniel Bryan. How long did Brock Lesnar have? He had, 5 months? It was 5 months because it was Survivor Series when he won it. Kofi had 7 months. So why should McIntyre not get the same treatment as any of them?
Right. He's shown he's worked his way all the way back to this point. Yeah. I really feel like that should be his payoff. He should get at least an important, lengthy title run.
Yeah, he's gone from being a Scottish psychopath to being quite likable, which is key. I mean, no doubt the merchandise sales have played into that factor as well. Because it's a well-known fact that if you sell well, you will do well.
Right.
In fact, with my payday, I might even get one of his Claymore Country T-shirts. If anyone's watching from Scotland, do not just don't go there, because I like the guy. But not until I get a Karrion Kross T-shirt first, because I do like Karrion Kross. So, despite not really agreeing on everything, we've kind of covered that. So, what was our next topic to be, chaps? Oh yes, how WWE has a history of misusing its talent. I'm going to say this point blank, and this will probably get me into a lot of bother, but I think Vinnie Mac should retire while he's on a high and let Triple H run the company, because Triple H knows what to do. He's been in the company long enough. He's made NXT a success that it is. I think it should be time for Vince to sort of like take a back seat or ease how he's doing everything and let Hunter take over for the next 20 odd years.
I don't feel like Vince is on a high. I think he's been on a low for some years now. I mean, there's some business decisions. I don't really think he's at the helm of everything. I think it's just he's a name. It's his company, so people are ruling at that. But he needs to be gone, Mike. And a lot. I mean, I think I hear all these people that leave WWE get fired, get released, and they're angry and they're bitter and they're making these comments. Yeah. But I really feel like if you're really analyzing what people are saying, you got to pick out these truths. They're all in agreement that Vince is the issue.
I mean, there is a YouTuber, I won't say his name, but he is probably one of the most vocal people who has actually said that Vince has no clue. And to be fair, I think I seem to remember one of his segments. He said that SmackDown script was redone like half an hour before the show actually aired.
Right. Like, why is that acceptable?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, if we were doing it, I mean, we do e-threadings, and you two are actually run a few shows. You know how booking works. You know it has to be done weeks or months or even weeks in advance. I mean, when you two have done it, there's been no problem. Everyone knows what the schedule is. It's like, right, do this by such and such a time. We can get everything sorted. Now, I know there's going to be some people who say, well, that's not how a wrestling company works. And they're probably right, because I'm no business expert. But we know how a wrestling model works.
From what I heard, Vince didn't even know EC3 was a former WWE guy, because they were watching Impact, and he was just like, yeah, that guy would be good on roster. And they're like, he was Derek Bateman on NXT, and Vince had no idea from what I've been hearing.
That's a sad release, too.
That's usually the case of someone changes name, and you have no idea who he is.
They missed the ship hardcore with EC3. And I'm sorry, I stand by this. And I don't care who disagrees. EC3 deserved much better than what he got.
He did. Yeah.
when the fact that you had him looking so miserable when he was actually supposed to be on camera, you know that's how bad it is.
And I mean, he's going to go back to Impact. He's going to do great things there. Yes. But he shouldn't. If he ever gets the opportunity to go back to WWE, don't take it. They've just disrespected him twice now.
Yeah.
And he's a once in a lifetime, in my opinion. He's a once in a lifetime talent if you use him properly.
But to be fair, that could be said of everyone on Black Wednesday. I mean, the Good Brothers, Anderson and Gallows, they absolutely.
I would not say that.
They should have stayed. I mean, I know they left for their reason, but that's sort of what I think. AJ probably won't. It probably won't be said, but you've got to admit AJ Styles was pissed when they left.
Of course he was.
That's why
there's no reason for them to go.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know this, but the reason AJ's on SmackDown because at the time he had to get away from Paul Heyman, who was actually in charge of Raw at that time.
And they got rid of Heyman too, didn't they?
Yeah, that was the most ironic part of it all.
I heard losing Zack Ryder broke locker room morale too, because like he did a lot of stuff to try and get himself over when it finally happened, and he was picking up like the IC belt at Mania, got that other tag title reign and everything, was getting his US title reigns. Like them losing him broke some of the guys in the back, because like if he couldn't do it when he was finally getting there, like what hope do the other guys have? And I feel like once this pandemic ends, a lot of these guys getting over now might end up getting pushed to the back when their main guys come back.
I mean, to be fair, the same could be said with McIntyre. What's to say that this will be his only title reign?
That is true.
When he came up from NXT, he didn't win the US title, did he?
No, I think
Did he win the tag team titles with Ziggler? He did, didn't he?
I think they got the tag titles.
Yeah.
And then it was like limbo for a while, because it seemed like they were trying to do like the HBK Diesel type thing with them for a bit.
And I'm not even sure if that worked, to be honest.
It caught steam for a short amount of time, and then everybody saw it for what it was, and it was like, meh.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I think Ricochet is one of the most unique and exciting talents there is. I mean, who the hell can do a 720 off the top of a steel cage and make it look so gracefully?
He's pound for pound one of the greatest athletes to ever do it.
I'm going to be honest. I sort of thought that wrestling, as far as pushing the boundaries, could not be pushed anymore. But Ricochet came along and proved that it can still be pushed. I mean, where is he now? I have not even seen him in weeks.
It happened after what Brock did to him. Like when they fed him to Brock, it's just been a downward spiral for him.
It's kind of like being fed to Brock Lesnar is kind of like the final nail in the coffin, if you like. So about everyone in the back of WWE who gets fed to Brock Lesnar thinks, oh shit, that's it, I'm done.
Well, there's a few wrestlers who can still push the envelope now. Like you got like Zack Sabre Jr., you got Kota Ibushi, like a lot of those guys, Kenny Omega, who to this day now like take wrestling to that next level, to places people don't think a match can go. I can't mention Will Ospreay, unfortunately, because apparently there's just a lot of controversy around him and his girlfriend right now. But he's also another wrestler. Like when you get him in the ring with the right guy, like him and Ricochet tore down the house for one of their matches that people still talk about to this day.
Yeah.
I mean, Hangman, both the Bucks, like there's a list of people that can change the game, given the right spot.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about Unbreakable. I mean, that for me, that is the match that made Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, and Chris Daniels. Now, whereas Samoa Joe and AJ Styles have done more, Christopher Daniels has kind of been left in the shadows as such. Because where's his title reign? Where's his world title reign that he hasn't had yet?
Well, Ring of Honor did push him, and the same with Lethal. Like him and Jay Lethal have both been ROH world champion, and those guys put them with anyone, and you're going to get like a crowd standing on their feet.
But the only problem is Chris Daniels never got that world title in TNA that he should have got. He did everything else. He won near enough every single title. He didn't get that.
Same for Christopher Daniels.
Yeah.
I mean, not Christopher Daniels, Kazarian. Sorry, I mixed names.
That's all right.
Like, I feel like when they did the whole suicide thing, they should have had him get the world title, and then Homicide outs who he is, and he pulls it down, shows Kazarian, because the way they sent him off, he felt like he failed his company by not winning the X Cup. He didn't win the X Division title. And that last interview he gave, he felt like he just let himself and everything down. And if they played out that story and pushing the character suicide, and we got Kaz back after that, that would have been big. Because if you look in that crowd, every fan was wearing a shirt of suicide the whole time when that character was getting over.
But there's so much talent in the WWE that is either being buried or not used. It's just unbelievable.
It's ridiculous.
I mean,
old.
I mean, you put Hunter and Stephanie in complete, well, not so much in complete charge, but you have them taking over Vinnie Mac's day-to-day runnings, I'll say. I bet you they would make a product that's worth watching and not that people would think, how much of a shambles is it going to be this week? I mean, don't get me wrong, we love Vinnie Mac because we love what he's done for the WWE. We love how pro wrestling has changed since he literally owned the WWF and WWE. We do like that, but it's a case of, granted, up until a couple of years ago, we probably think that the product has gone downhill.
It kind of has, like, competition has been bringing out, like, better here and there. Yeah. But remember the Monday Night Wars? Like, everyone was going full steam. Like, we were getting the best out of WWE until, like, near the end of the invasion. I feel like with the lack of competition, like, it just became stagnant where it's like, we'll do this and they'll like it. But now with all the other companies like New Japan, Ring of Honor's making their comeback, Impact's doing their comeback. We got AEW now, and AEW has been like going toe-to-toe with NXT to the point WWE had to bring some of their main stars down to NXT to try and push back AEW, and that should show you like how much AEW is like bringing it.
Although, can I just point out, chaps, that I think Charlotte Flair winning the NXT title, women's title, actually hurt the promotion.
Yeah, it did. Like, Charlotte didn't really need it, and she's pretty much had all the belts, and it does hurt your talent a bit. Where it's like, to compete with AEW, we have to bring some of our heavy hitters down here to push you guys back, and that's like hurtful to your roster because like they're working hard day in and day out, and then you just pull this because you want that quick like rating boost. Like, let them ride it out, let them show you what they can really do.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. When she lost it, I wasn't glad that she lost it. Sorry, that she wasn't champion anymore. I was glad that she lost it, so someone on NXT could actually try and carry it. I mean, Io Shirai won it. I was happy she won it. I would have been even happier if Rhea Ripley won it. But I'm just glad that Charlotte had a bit on NXT and then left. I mean, if you would have had Becky Lynch win it, then that wouldn't have been so bad because everyone loves Becky.
Yeah, but then Becky would have been like Becky 3 belts, and we would have heard it like over and over again.
Yeah, I don't really think she would have. If she was Becky 3 belts, she wouldn't have kept one of them for that long anyway. Because has anyone in the history of wrestling ever had three titles aside from Samoa Joe when he was X Division and TNA World Tag Team Champions?
Kurt Angle.
He won everything, didn't he? But
he won all of them.
Yeah, but TNA, he did actually lose some of them, didn't he? I mean,
obviously, he did. He ended up losing them.
Yeah, and he lost all of them within a decent period of time, which is fair enough.
You know what's odd about the whole 2 belts thing? Because remember, Paige used to be at the same time, she was the Divas champion and she was the NXT Women's champion. She had to vacate 1 belt. And then with Becky and them, it was just like, get both belts. It's no big deal. So it's kind of odd when they're going on about this whole 2-belt phase when you could argue that Paige basically did it. And Michelle McCool pretty much did it too when she united the 2 belts.
Yeah, Ultimate Warrior had IC and World, but the difference was, like with Paige, he vacated 1 of them.
Well, the thing about the whole, Divas Championship and the NXT Women's Championship is, of course, NXT wasn't getting the notoriety and the shine that it's getting now. So she was in the developmental and on the main roster. She couldn't do both at that time period. I think that's probably why she had to vacate the NXT Women's Championship.
Probably, but I would have liked it. She just brought it with her and then, like, you know, raised the level. Like when Kevin Owens came over with his NXT belt and he was just raising the status. Because I feel like that would have helped early on.
And not to mention Kevin Owens hammered John Cena in his first match on the main roster, which helped.
True.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people actually were kind of like enjoying that match a lot more than they should. I know I was one of them.
Now, I want to go back to our point when we're talking about Charlotte.
Yeah.
I think the booking model for that one was pretty good. I think they're thinking longevity-wise, because you know how many times Charlotte's been on top. She's had how many reigns now?
Too many.
At least 10.
Yeah,
right.
We'll say double figures because we're not exactly sure of the exact figure, so we'll say double figures.
Right. And then you would want, say, you want your NXT Women's Champion, especially how Rhea was being booked, you want her to beat somebody of that caliber because that just adds more prestige to said championship. That's how I look at it.
I will admit this, that when Charlotte won the Royal Rumble, she could have had another Becky match, couldn't she?
But Charlotte's had 11 reigns.
Yeah, but I did actually like the fact that she went NXT and challenged someone new. But I still don't like that Rhea Ripley lost when she should have won.
I feel like Rhea Ripley should have beaten her for the NXT belt because like her momentum seriously cooled after that Charlotte match.
Yeah, I was really super gutted for her. I know I'm a Brit liking an Aussie, and it's kind of like, well, with all the cricket drama we have had over the decades, it's like, how can you like an Aussie lady? It doesn't matter. She's a good wrestler at the end of the day, and she should, well, she's paid her dues long before. She's the only NXT UK Women's Champion and the NXT Women's title. So she's come from the UK to go to America. She's conquered both. She should be treated with a bit more respect than that.
Didn't even Mickie James come up short for the NXT Women's title too?
Yeah, I think it was when Asuka was in the middle of her 10,000 month reign. I think Asuka had way too long. Way too long.
But the level of output she was putting out for that reign was worth it too. She was kicking everybody's behind. Like Asuka was working with everybody, and she was working them.
Yeah. You see, I don't know if anyone can see me or not, but I am literally so frustrated with everything that we're talking about. If you would have actually done half of the stuff that we've discussed properly, I would probably be happy, but the fact is I'm not. I guess it just goes to show that how things have changed and how times have changed and how we as fans, because let's face it, we're all wrestling fans, we love the business, but it's just seeing that how it is, it's just so frustrating.
You know what I would have loved? If Alex Shelley stayed and they kept him and Kushida together and pushed them up. I feel like the time splitters right now would have been great. Or if Cesaro and Ono got put together and they reformed the Kings of Wrestling, like that would have been money. Give them Jim Cornette because Cornette loves them. Have him in their corner and Cornette doing what Cornette does, and like you're gonna have like the best heel team.
Yeah. It's just Cesaro. That guy's got so much potential. He should have been world champion by now. Big E should be world champion by now.
Here's to the future, guys. I mean, that's what we got. We gotta just clamor behind your favorite superstar. You know, like send in do what you can, support, because I think that is what people are looking at more towards in this future. It's like we want everybody to be on top, but not everybody's in agreement. I think if we unified front on a lot of these situations would be helpful.
It worked with Bryan Danielson, so.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen. Right. Just going on what Mike was saying, who would you see quitting for AEW out of the WWE? Because let's not forget, John Moxley or Dean Ambrose wasn't being booked very well. He went to AEW. He's now living it up as the world champ. So I'll give you one man. I'll give you a choice of one man and one woman out of that entire roster. Who do you think? Who could you see possibly leaving and joining AEW just to get a decent run at just about anything? I personally would love to see Cesaro go there. because he's just been wasted. He's been wasted in the mid card of the tag titles. He needs to be higher up. He is that talented.
I'm gonna pick Sami Zayn.
Oh God,
Sammy was completely, thoroughly ruined.
Sammy
And
is
he
ruined.
deserves
I mean,
so much
no
better.
offense. I know he had the whole drama with Kevin Owens, but aside from that, I don't really rate him that much. That's just my own
And
opinion.
that's a crime in itself.
I really don't think much of him.
And that's WWE's doing, because they buried him so far underneath the dirt that nobody sees the roots. I mean, someone sees the sprout. Like, Sami Zayn is a world-class athlete.
I will say one thing. He's actually been quite good as a heel manager. They've actually done it quite well that way. But aside from that, they've just made him so bad that I just can't stand him as a wrestler. I think he's overrated severely. And to be fair, he's been off WWE TV, and I have not missed him at all. I've missed Roman Reigns. I've missed Reigns a lot more, but I have not missed Sami Zayn in the slightest. I've missed Kevin Owens, because who doesn't love Kevin Owens? Kevin Owens is brilliant. But I have not missed Sami Zayn one bit.
Well, if you look at like how Sammy was used in NXT, and like
he was used correctly
beforehand, Ring of Honor, anywhere he's gone, Sammy was awesome, like bar none, awesome. And like main roster, Vince ruins everyone. So I'm still advocating for Sammy. I'm sorry. I think a change of scenery is what he needs to be sparked in.
Unlike about 90% of wrestling fans around the world, we don't judge each other's opinions.
Right.
We can say on those opinions, but we don't judge.
Right.
Go on then, Phrase. What man do you think? Because we haven't got into the women yet.
First, I think with wrestling fans, like, I know people complain about toxic fans, but I think it's the way Henry Cavill has said that fans are just really passionate about the things that they like, and that's why they're so hard on people when they're like critiquing the product and everything, because they want it, I guess, the way they envision it and the way they feel it should be when they're seeing these guys night after night go out there and practically break themselves.
Yeah, but just to I don't mean to interrupt when I say this, but there is a downside to doing that. You critique someone so badly, they will question their ability to do anything. You will question their passion.
That is true.
I've been on the end of this, so I am actually speaking from experience here. It can crush someone to the point where you just don't want to do the one thing you've spent your life doing and you love.
That is true as well. But if I would say if anyone's gonna go, I think it'd be Dolph Ziggler. Like he's done night after night, like 2-3 matches in a row. He's got it all, and his last couple of title reigns were a mess. Remember when he had the IC title, and then they like rebooted him from like trying to get over as a face to heel, and then remember the US title, he like randomly vacated it. That tournament happened, he left, and then he came back for the Royal Rumble.
I know that was absolutely. I don't even know what the hell that was supposed to be.
Even
to be fair, I think that AEW would suit Ziggler's would suit it better simply because. Hold on, yeah, it's all right. Just want to make sure it's all right. I think the AEW, I say the timeline would suit him better.
Like even his tag title reigns are a mess too. Like didn't him and Bobby win them at one point, and then it wasn't that much of a big deal. Then him and Drew got him. And Drew is a lot more over.
Yeah. So, what do we think about women, lads? Who do we think would leave? We think could leave WWE.
Mickie James.
Oh man, I've already made my feelings known on this. Oh god, I would not blame her if she literally jumped ship tomorrow. Even if she joined Magnus in NWA, I wouldn't blame her in the slightest.
I really wish she won.
That's where she should go.
AAA women's title, because she was down there for a while working her way through the roster. I would have loved if she got that and like came back, because most of the belts she's won, like a lot of the women these days haven't even like had the honor of having like all those sets of belts.
Not to mention she was part of the Knockout Revolution in TNA, and I still maintain she was done. She was booked brilliantly in TNA. WWE, she's been pissed about twice now. Because first time she was there, she lost to Gillian Hall of all people. That's probably the lowest of a low that anyone can actually get in WWE.
I don't know. After the whole Piggy James storyline, like she came
Oh,
out on top,
oh,
and
mate,
then they
I was
dropped
there.
the belt again. Like it
I was
pissed me
there.
off.
2009, I think it was, SmackDown in Sheffield, which isn't far from where I am. That was actually done there, and I felt so horrified, and I really felt sorry for her. Honestly, as far as she's gone, she is probably the worst person that WWE has ever booked, both in terms of storyline and how she's treated, because she should be treated like a goddess. She should be treated like a piece of like something you just throw away.
Like
That's how I genuinely feel.
even look at the last WWE game. Like, wasn't there some storyline like if Mickey lost again, her career was over, and they basically just had her having like no real hope or anything? Like, I feel like they've been giving her the short end of the stick for a while.
Yeah, I know she's getting on, but she should have one last one in AEW. Maybe even try and do something to help the talent over there, because she's just being wasted, and I don't want to see her wasted. I want her to enjoy every last day that she has wrestling.
If I
So
was,
she should get the Matt Hardy treatment. Then he's over in AEW helping to build the stars. I think Mickey could do the same.
if I was her, I'd go back to Mexico for a bit, try to get the AAA title. Then I'd go over to like AEW and ROH, because like if she manages to get all of those, she arguably would be like the greatest women's wrestler in America. She managed to get every like top championship around the world. Like you wouldn't be able to like top that.
Couldn't.
Yeah, but don't forget, she has some that she has with Magnus, so obviously that might complicate a few things. Because if he's working in NWA, she'd have to take Donovan with her to Mexico. I like the plan. Don't get me wrong. I think it's brilliant, but just sometimes being a mother is a bit hard, particularly when it's.
Well, remember
Nick
he
Aldis,
is
her husband,
defending the Mega Championship in AEW. So if she's there and they get some kind of deal with AAA, I could see them bringing some of the other champs in.
To be fair, AAA has worked with Impact before, haven't they? In fact, was it last year?
I know they came in for the X Cup one year. Mm-hmm. We had like Mexico, Japan. Naito and them have come over because when Impact got the New Japan belts, the heavyweight version of the tag titles and the junior heavyweight ones, and we've seen Hiroshi Tanahashi come over and wrestle AJ.
Yeah, I remember a lot of MX Cups actually, because they were quite entertaining. Right, so aside from Mickey, I think it is actually quite tough. I personally, in fact, I might do one from Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, because I'm kind of like stuck between a few. I probably think Rhea Ripley could possibly leave, particularly if they continually make her like really bad in NXT, because she is really good. She's unique for a female wrestler, and if she doesn't get at least one NXT Women's title reign in the next year, they've wasted her. SmackDown, I probably could go for Lacey. Yeah, I could probably go for Lacey Evans. And as far as Raw goes, I would probably now I would go so far as to say Selena Vega, because she's wrestled before. She doesn't wrestle that much. We must just point that out. She's wasted. She's a great manager, don't get me wrong. I'm sure we can all agree on that part. But as a wrestler, they just don't bother with her, which I find a bit pointless and a bit scratching my head at.
She's probably not gonna go anywhere because Alistair.
Yeah,
they got a good little thing going
as well, because he's not been seen since. Was it Seth Rollins or was it Murphy that nearly took his eye out? It was Murphy, wasn't it?
It was Murphy.
Yeah. To be fair, if Alistair decided to call it quits, I wouldn't blame him either, to be honest.
Right. Go back to being Tommy End? Yeah, I agree.
Not the worst idea that someone could put his way, to be honest.
Right.
But yeah, I think this is another case of a former NXT champion who could be something has just gone into nothing. Have we got any more thoughts, gents, before we wrap things up?
Ruby Riott, I feel like she should have been
Oh
champion
God!
by now. Like when the Riot Squad was hot, like she had stuff going on, and it just seems like the last little while she's had setbacks.
She had no singles victory in 2 years up until 3 weeks ago. I'm really surprised she's still there, to be honest.
Like she used to be Heidi Lovelace, and like she was in OVW, Shakara, like she was pretty much everywhere. And it just seems like since she came to WWE, they've just been halting a lot with her.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I will say, Peyton Royce is supposed to be getting a massive push. So it'd be interesting to see what they do with her. I mean, there's always the danger that she could join her husband in AEW. I'm wondering if that's why she's getting a push, you know.
That and their bodybuilding little competition she
Yeah.
was in.
I did actually hear about that. I'm like, you wouldn't think Peyton Royce could actually do quite well in the bodybuilding. Not that I'm not saying she can't, but it's just a case of normally you could associate Rhea Ripley with bodybuilding, couldn't you? Not so much Peyton Royce.
Not sure.
Yeah. I would love to see the Iconics have a decent tag team title reign, not the last one they had where they just avoided everyone. Because isn't that what tag team wrestling is supposed to be about? Proving yourself to be the best, not literally avoiding everyone.
Well, Impact had that issue with their tag titles. Remember, like there's a few times the knockout tag titles got vacated because they weren't really defended. I don't think they have enough people really at this point to do the tag division because, like, do you remember the last time they actually defended those in the WWE? Because, like, I don't see them really doing much.
Hold on a minute, didn't you have a match on NXT once? Because I seem to remember Bayley and Sasha invaded NXT and gloated.
They had a one-off.
Yeah, but aside from that, not much.
In fact, like right now they're just ornaments.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the knockout ones because I can see the tag team titles being vacated and then just being forgot about.
Because like I think the last time the WWE had women's tag titles, it was like '83.
Yeah.
And then those vanished for a while, and then they brought them back now, and it's kind of like the same treatment. It's just there. The problem is with the team they have now, if you're not going to focus on those tag belts, don't put it on them because tag teams it's been notorious in wrestling, like in the bigger companies where tag team takes a back seat. I remember when the men's tag team titles just used to be the placeholders after a while.
AEW is actually, because they have Hangman and Omega as their champions. Like, yeah, they actually value their tag team division because you got the Bucks helming it. So
it's always nicer when you've got someone who cares, isn't it? Rather than somebody who's just like, oh yeah, we'll give these a title run, see what they can do. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't really know who in the WWE could have it. I mean, you've got Banks and Bayley who are going to split up. Fire and Desire split up. Riot Squad is no more. I mean, and Alexa and Nikki is no more. So basically, your tag team titles are pretty much going down the knockout tag team title reign picture, really, aren't we? Let's be honest.
Yeah, unless they're going to defend them on each one of the shows or something. Like if they want to like push some more of their female talent that they feel would work well together, then there's not much they can do with those.
Wasn't that the idea of them to begin with?
It pretty much was a way to utilize everyone, but now it just seems like it's lost in the shuffle because, like, do you hear the tag titles really get mentioned when Sasha and Bayley are cutting promos? It's just like we have all the belts, and that's pretty much it. And it's just the focus on the single belts. I don't even think there's been a pay-per-view where they pulled like double duty.
No, well, we could say Asuka's pulling double duty tonight, but that would kind of be a bit pointless, really, because she's going for two single belts.
Yeah, but they don't see the champs pulling double duty defending their tag titles along with their singles belts. So it kind of doesn't make sense. Because Kurt Angle, when he had all the gold, he was defending everything.
But he's Kurt Angle. He's a friggin' machine, let's be honest.
Yep. So it seems like a waste. Like they could have been defending them on NXT, Raw, and SmackDown, but it's none of that.
What I would love to see is I'd love to see a long-term plan with those titles, even if you have to get Hunter and Stephanie involved. Because let's face it, Hunter and Steph, between them, probably know this business better than anyone. It needs rejuvenating, and they are the ones to rejuvenate it. Some people will probably disagree with me on that, but look how Hunter's built NXT up from what it was and to what it is now. It's gotten to the point where I don't watch Raw and SmackDown, I catch highlights, but I am actually getting where I can actually watch Raw and SmackDown every Monday and every Tuesday morning and Saturday morning. Now, I don't honestly know if I should really watch it or not, because it's just getting to the point where I'd rather watch NXT every Wednesday. So it's kind of like, do I really want to bother? Because I know exactly what's going to happen.
I'm pretty much just watching SmackDown for Jeff and Styles right now, really.
Yeah, because I originally had, I think this was about 10 years ago, I had 8 people I would rather watch before I literally gave up on WWE. Taker was one of them, Kane was one of them, Hunter was one of them, Shawn Michaels was one. But now there's only really Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt. I kind of really do like Drew McIntyre. There's Karrion Kross, who is in NXT at this moment. I really like what they've done with him. He's probably the first person in years that's been booked properly. Has literally got everything. He's got presence. His ring entrance is absolutely astonishing, and I really hope they don't blow it with him. I mean, there's them guys. I mean, I really like Keith Lee. I really do like him. Do I really watch it for Roman Reigns? Probably not. I probably just watch it for the sentiment, knowing that he is The Rock's cousin and there is still some member of that family in wrestling that I am actually proud of. Hi, Jax. I hate your fucking guts. Aside from that, there's not really anyone.
I can agree there.
For me, it's mostly NXT, like Roddy, Adam Cole, Bobby Fish.
But the screw there, where I absolutely kicked it up a notch. Now, they had over goal, but the difference was it didn't matter as much. Whereas Sasha and Bayley have everything between them. Whereas the Undisputed Era they basically did their version of Evolution. Because we knew they were going to lose it eventually.
Yeah, but they actually were defending their belts, like every event that came up.
Indeed they were. Right then, chaps. Anything else, or shall we call it a day there?
I've got nothing.
I'm good.
Right, we'll call it a day then. To be fair, it's getting on the point where I actually need another coffee. Right, so there is going to be a YouTube channel with all these on, which we will hopefully have set up by the next one, which will be next Sunday night. So we will let you know what it is when it's happened. But until then, you can find me on Twitter as Final Cut Gaming and Final Cut Talk. You'll find me on Facebook as Final Cut Reviews, and you'll find me on Instagram under Final Cut.
You'll find me on Twitter at 5-Star Wildcard, and you can find me on Instagram at Beautiful Michael.
You can find me on Facebook at Mike Gulliford, but I'm actually rebuilding my social media presence. So within the next couple of weeks, I'll have more info for you guys, and looking forward to hearing from you.
And we hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have enjoyed discussing it. Without you guys watching, we would not be able to do what we want, what we enjoy doing. So with that said, we hope you've enjoyed it, and thank you all for watching.